2:28 in the morning, an 84-year-old woman's pacemaker stopped transmitting. 41 minutes earlier, someone had removed the camera watching her front door. In between those two moments, something happened inside that house. Something that left blood on the front porch. You've been told this is a kidnapping. The media reported it as a kidnapping. Law enforcement initially investigated it as a kidnapping. And for weeks, a former FBI special agent and CIA counterterrorism officer says this crime was targeted. Not a burglary, not random. Someone who had a connection to Savannah Guthrie chose this house and this woman. This is INV Crime Stories, where we go beyond the headlines with investigation psychology and detective insights. And today, we're going to walk through the evidence, step by step, the way an investigator would. Not to tell you what to think, to show you what the evidence actually says when you stop listening to the narrative and start reading the scene. Let's begin. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, the co-anchor of the Today Show on NBC, one of the most recognizable journalists in America. Nancy lives on a rural property in the Catalina foothills just outside Tucson, Arizona, a quiet neighborhood. Limited cameras, sparse traffic, the kind of place where people feel safe enough to leave their doors unlocked. Nancy is described by Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos as mentally sharp as a tack. But she has limited mobility. She requires daily medication for a heart condition, and she has a pacemaker that wirelessly transmits her cardiac data to a relay device connected to her medical team. Remember that pacemaker. It's going to matter more than anyone expected. On January 31st, a Saturday evening, Nancy attended dinner with her family. Her children dropped her home afterward. She was safe. She was well. 41 minutes after the camera went dark, at 2:28 in the morning, Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker application lost its connection to her phone. Now think about what that means from an investigator's perspective. That pacemaker was transmitting her cardiac data wirelessly via Bluetooth to a device in her home. When it disconnects at 2:28 a.m., there are only two explanations. Either Nancy was moved far enough from that phone to break the Bluetooth range, or something happened to Nancy herself that caused the signal to stop. Either way, investigators now had a hard boundary. Let's go back to the blood, because the blood is where the case fractures. After the crime scene was officially released back to the family, a News Nation crew discovered a blood trail. It led from the front door of Nancy Guthrie's home across the porch and into the driveway. Now, an investigator reading this scene would note something Dr. Bodden chose his words carefully about. He used the word abduction, not kidnapping. Those are different things. A kidnapping implies a transactional element. You take someone because you want something. An abduction simply means taken by force. The distinction matters because it opens the door to a 25-liter hiking pack. Not a bag designed for electronics or jewelry. Not a duffel for valuables. A backpack built for an hours-long operation, large enough to carry restraints, tools, and the equipment you'd need if what you were taking was not an object. Investigators noticed this immediately. Before we go deeper into what two former federal agents are saying about this case, I want to hear from you. If you're watching this right now, drop your city and the time where you are in the comments. It helps us understand where our investigative community is growing and when to publish, so you never miss an update. And if this case has your full attention, that subscribe button means you'll be here when the next break in this investigation comes. Let's keep going. Let me ask you a question. If you took someone alive and you wanted money for their return, who would you contact? The answer is obvious. You'd contact the family, directly, quietly. You'd give them a phone number, an email, a cryptocurrency wallet address, a drop location. You'd create a private channel because you need them to be able to respond. The whole point of a ransom is the exchange. Posted videos directly addressing whoever posted videos directly addressing whoever had taken their mother, humanizing her, pleading, asking for proof that she was alive. Savannah stood in front of a camera and said the words no daughter should ever have to say, that her mother may already be gone. She said it publicly. She asked a kidnapper to communicate. She offered everything a family can offer. And through all of it, every plea, every video, every announcement of a reward, not once did whoever sent those notes provide a photograph, an audio clip, a handwritten note, or any confirmation of any kind that Nancy Guthrie was alive. The FBI officially confirmed that as of mid-February, they were aware of no ongoing communication between the Guthrie family and any kidnapper. The ransom deadlines passed. A second message arrived at KVOA. I want to introduce you to someone who is not a commentator and not a podcast personality. Tracy Walder spent years as an FBI special agent working counterterrorism. After that, she crossed into the CIA and continued that work at a level most Americans will never hear about publicly. Her career was built around understanding how violent people plan and execute crimes designed to terrorize, coerce, or control. When this case broke, she sat down with News Nation for an on-air analysis, and what she said should have gotten more attention than it did. She said she definitely does not believe this was a burglary gone wrong. Her reasoning is operational. Burglars do not take people with them. In a burglary, you do not tend to see the perpetrator taking a victim because it bogs them down. A burglar's objective is simple: get in, take things, get out. Taking a living human being, especially an 84-year-old woman with limited mobility, changes your entire operation. It slows you down. It creates noise. It converts a property crime into a federal kidnapping charge that carries a life sentence. No experienced criminal makes that escalation by accident. And the 25-liter hiking pack confirms it. If your intent is to steal electronics or jewelry, now in investigation psychology, these are two distinct threat profiles. Obsession-driven offenders develop parasocial attachments to public figures. These are one-way emotional bonds where the perpetrator believes they have a relationship with someone who has no idea they exist. In most cases, these attachments are harmless. In rare documented cases, they escalate into action. And one of the most consistent findings in the literature is that when violence occurs, it is rarely directed at the public figure themselves. It is directed at someone the figure loves, someone accessible, someone whose address can be found, whose routine can be observed, who lives in a less protected environment. Retaliation is different. A retaliation-driven offender is not in love with the public figure. They are angry. They believe the figure wronged them, professionally, personally, politically, and they have decided that the most devastating thing they can do is target the person that figure cannot protect. Criminologists call this proxy violence. The real target is the public figure. The violence is delivered to someone the offender knows the figure loves most. Going after a mother is a very particular kind of message. It says, I know where the thing you love most lives, and I got there before you could stop me. John Miller is CNN's chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst. Before that, he served as the NYPD's deputy commissioner, overseeing their intelligence bureau, their counterterrorism bureau, and their joint task force with the FBI. Before that, he was an assistant director at the FBI itself. He is a 2-time Peabody Award winner, planned home invasion. Not a burglary, a home invasion. A crime where the target is the resident. The person inside is part of the plan. Went completely sideways. Not slightly wrong, completely wrong. Whatever the figure with the backpack came to accomplish, it did not survive contact with what actually happened at that front door. Re-engineered. The crime changed shape after the fact. Someone looked at what had happened and made a decision under extreme pressure, about how to reframe it. The plan that was ultimately executed, the ransom notes, the Bitcoin demand, the media contacts, was not the plan that was originally made. Because the suspects' opportunities had shifted. Their options changed. What they came to do was no longer possible. What they needed to do to protect themselves was something entirely different. And then Miller identified the forensic anchor for this entire theory. He said the key denominator is the blood outside the front door, which offers a strong suggestion that whatever type of crime it started as, things began to go wrong very quickly. The blood is the denominator. The blood is where the crime changed. Whatever the masked figure came to that porch to do, it went wrong at the front door. Nancy bled. And at that moment, everything that followed was improvised. Miller then asked a question that investigators and the public both need to sit with. Could someone come up with a ransom note to disguise a home invasion where the victim may have been seriously injured? To salvage their crime? Salvage their crime. The crime went wrong. The ransom notes were not the beginning. They were the exit strategy, an attempt to convert a disaster into a transaction, to give law enforcement something to chase, a living hostage, a ransom demand, a negotiation, instead of what may have actually happened. Two experts, two independent analytical frameworks, and they arrive at the same place. The kidnapping narrative was not the origin of this crime. If this investigation is resonating with you, take a moment and share this video with someone who's been following this case. The more people who understand what the evidence actually shows, the more pressure stays on this investigation. And that like button is not just a number. It tells the algorithm to put this in front of more people who care about justice for Nancy. Every click matters. Here's where the investigation stands as of this recording. 2 men were briefly detained for questioning in the early weeks of the case. Both were released within 24 hours. Neither has been publicly identified as a suspect. Pima County Sheriff Chris Knapp, the FBI's command post, relocated from Tucson to Phoenix. Some interpreted this as the case going cold. John Miller pushed back on that directly. This is nowhere near a cold case. The relocation reflects a transition from emergency phase response to long-form investigative work. Investigators are still running leads. The Guthrie family has posted a $1 million reward. Miller confirmed this was strategically timed in coordination with law enforcement. Deployed at the moment, before the theories, before the experts, before the forensics and the timelines and the ransom notes, there is a woman, Nancy Guthrie, 84 years old, a mother, a grandmother, a woman who attended virtual church every week with her friends, a woman her family describes with love and warmth in every public statement they have made, a woman the Pima County Sheriff described as sharp as a tack, a woman who was, this is INV Crime Stories. We go beyond the headlines with investigation psychology and detective insights. If that's the kind of content that speaks to you, subscribe and turn on notifications. You'll be here the moment the next break in this case comes. Drop your city and the time you're watching right now in the comments. It helps us know when to publish so we can reach you wherever you are in the world. Share this video with someone who needs to see it, like it. So the algorithm puts this in front of people who care about justice. And I'll see you in the next investigation.